Well, it's been a minute since I've made a boat or a video regarding my boats. So I wanted to make this video and kind of catch you up, give you an update on how these are going. Now, this was my this was my first try, okay? Now, although it looks good, the issue is it doesn't fit. Now, I could push it, squeeze it, and make it fit, and I may do that. I've learned that if you heat up carbon fiber with a heat gun, you can actually mold it over. So I may do that to try to save this piece. But the problem is this back corner didn't conform to the right angle like this one did. And then the front is just kind of lumpy. Now, my second try over here, it actually did better, which I've sanded it with 1000 grit. I've already put my little front stem on right there, and I've already bent some nails, put me some nails on the back. So those are pretty much ready to go. And this piece, I'm gonna say, is 90% of the way to 95% of the way equivalent to the original top hatch for the Mystic 29. And it will work. I've already put it on there. Everything about it works. And I've still got my original one here. I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to make a third one because the last two that I've made were double layered. When we add two layers together, that's where I get my problem. So I'm going to make one layer. I'm going to put it in. I'm going to vacuum it down. And then I'm going to reinforce it. Because if I do one layer, it will conform to all the angles. Nice and good. When you double it up, it becomes hard. So that's where my issue lies. And I'm not using a real vacuum machine that's capable of, like, 28 pounds of vacuum. I'm using a shop vac, which is capable of like 9 or 10 pounds of vacuum. And I'm just using these cheap Space Aid, vacuum bags. So not doing it the legit way. So I'm going to start, I've just been kind of cleaning up my shop. It's been kind of a clusterfuck. So I decided I was just going to start cleaning everything up, organizing everything. Went ahead and kind of swept my floor up. And I've got my wood stove going to get it warm in here. I've got 2 layers of PVA sprayed on the mold. And that's what I'm going to be working on later tonight. Now, I'm going to take you inside and show you what happened to me when I was running the boat. I guess it was 2 days ago at this point. I wasn't filming. I got some brand new batteries. I just wanted to run them. I regret not having the camera on at this point, but it was funny, so it's a funny story, so I've got to share it with you. Now that we're inside, I also have to clean up this mess too. It's kind of hard because you get into doing one thing and then it progressively goes, across the board to something else, and then you end up with a mess like this in a few days. Now, the boat that I want to talk about is the Spartan. Now, my goal originally was to disassemble the Spartan, and I wanted to mold it, and I wanted to make a fiberglass copy of it. And the reason why I've been making all these top hatches, things like this here, is because I wanted to teach myself how to work with fiberglass and how to work with carbon fiber before I jumped into something as large as a boat, because I have to use larger rolls of carbon fiber, which are more expensive than the remnants that I have been using. And I've been kind of like looking at the Dominator and trying to understand, like, how did they get stuff so thin and so strong? Because I believe if you look at this, this is only single layer. And it's probably single layer, vacuum sealed with a coat on top of it. That's the only thing that I can assume. But whoever's doing these, I believe DY Motor Shop is the one actually making these holes for Oxidine. I may be wrong, but the same hull is sold on DY Motor Shop. But for the Spartan, I love the design. I love the length of the boat. I love the deep V-hull, everything but the chine walk. Now, I want to explain to you what happened to me 2 days ago. So I was out running the boat, and I bought these batteries here. I bought these Gens Ace bashing batteries because they're 120C, and I think they're 6800 milliamp. And I wanted to do a review, which I still will do the review, against the SMC 120C pink packs. Because I've got an 8,000 mAh pink pack and a 6200 Gens Ace pack. Both are 120C. So I was testing the Gens Ace pack in the boat. Now, I was running the boat, and I had this prop on it here, which is a 1.6 pitch 42 millimeter. And I was driving the boat in the pond, and I had been driving it for about 4 minutes. And I said to myself, all right, I'm going to do a high-speed rip. I'm going to do it coming towards me. And that way, if it crashes, it'll kind of like crash, do a somersault, whatever, and it'll kind of like crash towards me and then float to shore. And then if it crashes, I can just pitch the fishing rod out and get it. Well, that's not exactly what happened. And I want to go over with you and show you what happened. And I don't know how this thing didn't break. Now, bear with me. I've just got my phone propped up. Now, the boat was coming towards me, okay? So it's doing this number on the pond, and I'm standing on the dam. A big gust of wind comes, and this thing's rolling at like 50 miles an hour. The boat takes flight. At first, it's like China walking, so it's doing its out of control dance. It comes up out of the water, and it's pointing towards me. Mind you, it's 35 feet in front of me at this point. Within about a second, a gust of wind blows while it's sitting there bouncing. The boat comes up out of the water, which the pond dam is like 3 to 4 feet above the level of the water. I never thought this could happen, but it was all due to the wind. The boat comes flying out of the water, and it's flying like this. And I'm standing, and it's flying like this. It flies. No shit. I see it, and I duck. I've got my remote, and I duck like this. It flies over my head. And I'm like, at this point, I turn my head the other direction because I'm afraid. I'm like, okay, in my mind, I'm thinking the prop. But I never really thought about the sharp-ass turn fins. The boat goes over my head, and it does a somersault in the air. And I'm watching it. The boat flew probably 18 feet in total length and probably 8 feet off of the water level. Now, it's flying in midair, and it lands, and when it lands like this. So when it lands, it hits the ground on the rudder, and on the prop and everything just smacks the ground. Well, then the boat rests on the ground like this. And I just knew, I'm like, shit. In my mind, I'm like, this thing is destroyed. And I just wanted to run it, and now I'm not going to be able to mold it because I've just cracked the shit out of it. I knew this boat was ruined. I just knew it. Like, it was a full speed fly in the air, and it didn't land on the water. It landed on the backside of the pond dam over top of me. Now, ironically, nothing broke. Nothing broke. The rudder is a little bent. The rudder's a little bent, and then like a piece of the anodized is off of it. But it had rained so much that when it hit, it kind of hit on the meat of the shaft of the rudder. And I've been looking all over this thing, and I haven't found any cracks in it yet. But what did happen, because of the way the battery straps are, the boat hit towards the rear. It broke the speed controller out. Both batteries came ejected out. The whole top came flying off. I don't know where the pin went. And then the whole center motor tray, those two little clips that hold this boat in, the two little clips busted out, and the center tray fell out. Everything that was a part of the center of the boat came out. Now, the only thing that was really holding it on at the time was the little servo rod that was mounted to the servo was the only thing that kept the center tray from coming out. Just absolutely blew my mind. And for the boat to not have any crack in it, I don't understand it. Maybe it's the amount of metal that I have back here kind of reinforcing everything. Once that happened, it was like a pile of mud. I had to sit here and flake it out, get a toothbrush and try to clean it out. And I put it back in the water and kind of brushed it back and forth for about 2 minutes to kind of wash all the mud off of it. And then, you know, it didn't have any electronics in it at that point. All of my bullet connectors on the motor, boom, they all pulled off because the ESC come flying out. Both batteries, boom, they come flying out. Everything was gone. It was all like laying in a pile of shit underneath because it was like this on the ground. When I lifted it up, all the shit is just laying on the ground. I'm like, oh my God. I was like, my brand new batteries. I was just, oh God, I'm so pissed. I was mad at myself thinking it was a smart idea to run a boat on a windy day and drive it at full speed coming towards me. But it all happened so fast. You know, you always see boat crashes, whatever, just blah, blah, blah on the water. This was blah, 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 and it was, it's so bad, it's so bad. I was telling my girl about this story yesterday. I was like, man, could you imagine if I called you telling you I was like on the way to the hospital because I got a cut on my face and trying to explain to her that the boat prop, or I got hit in the face with a remote control boat. Like, I was just, I don't know. But I wish so badly that I had my camera on, but I didn't. I got off work. I didn't have any time. All my video stuff was in the truck. I was videotaping all day from my other channel. And I just wanted to run the Gens Ace batteries. I had charged them up the day before. I knew I needed to discharge them, put them back at the storage level. So I was like, all right, I haven't run the Spartan in like 3 months. The boat, I'm going to run it. So I go out there and I run it. I run it with a 45-14 prop. And then I swap that other prop on, not thinking, and I try to do the same, like, you know, you kind of get muscle memory to how far you're pressing the throttle. And I pressed the throttle, and it was flying. And it come up out the water, and when it did, it kind of did that number there. And when it did that number there, the gust of wind came, and it just was like, and it shot out of the water, shot over my head. And what it did this number. And it kind of went like this, and it did a somersault, and then it did like that. It's just absolutely crazy. But I just wanted to share that story with you because it's absolutely hilarious. I wish I could have filmed it, but it's a plastic boat. I don't know how it didn't break into pieces. So basically my plans are I'm going to try and separate the seam and separate the top and the bottom. I want to get rid of the center plastic tray, and I want to see if at minimum I want to reinforce the entire hull. So I think this layer here is okay. I was doing some measurements here on these carbon fiber motor rails. So I think I'm gonna buy a motor mount and a servo mount and try to put that in the center tray. It'll get the motor more towards the back, and then I can put maybe a 6S up front, and I can put the ESC kind of right here in the middle or off to the side. There's really a lot of space in this boat compared to something like this. So that's kind of what I want to do. At this point, I have some really big trim tabs. I've got these big trim tabs here. And I wanted to try these compared to the RC boat bits. They are rather large. If we hold them at the hinge point, they stick out to about yay. They're pretty much the same width, but they're just longer. And then I have a rudder here, but this rudder was made for the Impulse, and that's what I'm gonna put it on. What I did with the rudder was I actually changed the bracket around. If you can look at the bracket, it's not supposed to go this way. This piece here is supposed to go here. I switched it around, and I drilled those holes, and I've tapped these holes to where I could get that a little bit more of extension, because they called it a 4-inch rudder, and it's a little shy when you start looking at the blade on it. But yeah, I'm gonna put this on the Impulse, I believe, see if that will help that out, and then I'll probably order one of these in 5-inch. That way I can put it on the back of the Spartan and really get me a big rudder extended out. And then I have this here, which is a TFL Stinger. I'm gonna put the TFL Stinger on the back of this and run it all the way out. But that's just my plan. I haven't made any content for y'all, so I just wanted to share that story with you about the Spartan. Absolutely fucking crazy. Just I can't believe it, honestly. I cannot believe it didn't destroy that boat. Now, I've always taken really good care of this boat. I've only like flipped it on the pond twice because I never really knew how to recover the boat besides putting the canoe in. And then the fishing rod idea was great. Now, since that crashed the other day, you can kind of tell I've kind of got some scuff marks here. I've got a little bit of scuffing here. It wasn't bad because all this took the brunt of the impact. You can still see a little bit of dirt there that I didn't wipe off. A little bit of the anodizing broken. There's not really good light back here. There's still some mud in the rudder right there. I had to clean a lot of it out with a toothbrush. And then if we look at the top's got some scarring on it from when it kind of blew apart. But I was honestly surprised that the boat wasn't demolished. I originally thought the boat, because it happened so fast, I thought the boat hit the dam and like ramped up the dam, but it didn't. It came airborne about 6 or 7 feet before it got to land. And then the gust of wind and the speed of the boat, and because what it really was I tried the new batteries, which were smaller, and I put them further back. And I've always I've ran the batteries up front. And I was like, let me try to run it back here. And in doing so, I messed up because it made it nose light, and when it caught air, it turned into an airplane. Yeah, well, that was enough for the story. Enough making content for y'all. Just wanted to make a video, tell you my crazy story about the Spartan, and I've got a lot of cleaning up to do, so I will see y'all on the next one.